Hello and welcome. My name's Heather. I'm a registered professional counselor, and today I'm finally going to be watching Love is Blind Season 2, the reunion episode. I feel like I've been waiting forever to watch this episode, so thank you so much for being patient. I know that this is a highly anticipated video. Let's dive right in.
I'm nervous about how we get edited.
That's what you're going to lead with?
What?
I'm going to say what's on everyone's mind.
So you know what? Then this is a good opportunity after a question to clear whatever air you want.
So pretty much immediately, Shake just inserts himself and his views on what he's worried about and why he's nervous. So he's worried about being edited a certain way. And he's also putting a blanket statement out there saying that this is what everyone's thinking and he's just going to say it. Already he's rubbing everyone in the wrong way. He's kind of just asserting himself and just making these wild assumptions as to how everyone is thinking or how everyone is feeling. So yeah, I can see this just being super awkward.
We're not supposed to fight, dude. Fight with that later. Come on.
All right. So on that note, it's good to stand up for the
Oh
right.
my
But
goodness.
You went straight to like a victim mode right away. I'm not a victim, baby.
And we can see from the cast members, they were already getting a bit annoyed with him. You see them kind of just sitting there and just staring at him awkwardly. And even Shane is trying to get Shake to just stop. Yeah, it's already a little bit of a cringy start. Again, I just want to say that everything in these videos are a complete speculation. I'm not diagnosing any of the participants. That is unethical. I'm not in a counseling session with them. I don't know them personally. The purpose of these videos is to use certain clips from the show to talk about relationship concepts, psychology theories, and also how we can improve our communication skills.
For what I've seen, shut up, Shane. What I've seen is a bunch of people that were so real in the beginning turn fake as fuck.
You've been the fakest person from the
Oh my gosh, what's going on?
Jared, I say the
Don't
facts.
start that.
I keep it
You've been
100,
the
bro.
fakest since-
Oh gosh, I don't understand why Shake needs to assert this role on himself where he has to keep it real or keep it 100. Like, again, I feel like he's just playing a part. I feel like he's just being overly dramatic. Maybe he is like this in everyday life, but I feel like it's to the point where it's a complex where he's like, I have to be the only truth teller and everyone on the show is fake. Again, he's just making wild assumptions. He doesn't really understand what other people are going through, and like, it just, what is going on? What is going on?
The whole point of Love is Blind is to fall in love with someone based on who they are on the inside. A task not everyone seemed to understand, and yes, I am looking at you, Jake.
It's not that different than making a huge purchase. Before you make this type of commitment, I feel like you have to read the fine print on that.
Oh my gosh, okay. Wow, I feel like everyone's triggered, and I feel it myself, like there's just a lot going on. So first off, marriage is the ultimate purchase. Sure, I guess if that's how he wants to see it. I guess for him, he said reading the fine print. I mean, it's, okay, sure, like, I guess that makes sense in some ways. You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have some form of physical attraction to your lifelong partner. I feel like the problem with that is that his mindset of essentially the way he views marriage is that you're purchasing something, which is that the woman is going to be his possession. That's what I have an issue with. I don't know if it's exactly what he means, because he's essentially saying that in order to get married, which is like a purchase, so the wife is going to be my possession, and objectively, I will pick and choose. It's very sexist. It's very degrading to say that. And again, maybe it's just a really bad analogy that he used. I think what he's trying to say is that marriage is a really big commitment, and he wants to make sure that he's going to be committed to that one person for the rest of his life, and therefore every aspect of the relationship should work to some level, and he's more so pointing out the physical aspect. And it's fine if he has a preference. I mean, you know, a lot of people have preferences when it comes to finding a partner. It's his attitude around it. It's his attitude around what do they look like, and the way that his demeanor was in the pods at the beginning of asking them what size they are and whether or not he could lift them up. So it's the way he goes about it that is very hurtful, it's very misogynistic, it's very toxic and sexist and all that horrible things. And I think everyone on the show is just really sick and tired of having to hear and deal with him.
I want this shit to work. If I were
Oh my god, look at everyone's face. They're just so sick and tired of him.
Weight discrepancy, it would be very hard for me to get past that. And when I'm in a situation like that, I want to get past that.
Problem I have, Shake, is that you sat there and berated every single one of these women physically and then went through the process with this beautiful soul over here.
Even Vanessa is getting extremely heated because he's just saying all the wrong things. Again, maybe it's not entirely what he's intending, and maybe it's just a really bad analogy, but he's not really doing anything to correct himself or to essentially save himself. He's just kind of digging himself into a bigger hole and just essentially offending everyone. Whether he's doing that on purpose or not, I don't know, but I'm sure he has some form of awareness, as we've seen in the previous episodes. He does have some form of awareness. I guess it's just completely checked out, or he's just wanting to turn that part off, and he just wants to essentially turn it into DJ Shake's show, and he's just gonna do whatever he wants and say whatever he wants, despite how it might be hurting other people, which is not great. This is not a great look.
But all I said was you're on the wrong dating show.
Yeah,
That's
and
all
he
I said.
is.
But I want it to be partially blind. I want it to be love is blurry. Love is blurry.
Well, why don't you start Love is Blurry?
We did see some form of change and some form of self-awareness in the middle of the season. I personally don't think that can be faked. I think that there was a part of him that was starting to get vulnerable and start to get in touch with his emotional side. But as soon as he was rejected, he just went back to DJ Shake. So as I mentioned in my previous video that I feel like he has two personas or two masks, and there's DJ Shake, which is what we're seeing right now, and there's Doctor or Veterinarian Shake, which is that more deeper, reflective, self-aware self. And I think for him, he just maybe has more experience being DJ Shake because it's safer to be in this realm, or because it's just easier to not have to deal with the emotional stuff and the vulnerable stuff, because it is hard and it is icky and it can be really tough sometimes. And maybe he's just doubling down on being DJ Shake because he doesn't want to get hurt again or feel that sense of rejection again. So maybe it could be that, but he's definitely derailing the purpose of the reunion show. I mean, let me know, what do you think is going on for Shake in this reunion episode? Like, why is he behaving this way? Let me know in the comments below.
Unfortunately, the only one I'm attracted to is Vanessa. And I wish I wasn't.
Oh my gosh.
And I've done nothing but berate you this entire time. That's a messed up relationship.
Maybe he does have very distorted views around relationships, and the fact that, yeah, Vanessa said that she's been berating him this whole time, and he admitted to only being attracted to her. Like, yeah, what is that about, Shake? Like, be a little bit more reflective around that. Again, maybe it's because he just finds her more physically attractive, and then he'll think about more of the emotion. I don't know. This is just really uncomfortable to watch, and I'm trying not to read too much into it because I think this is just a whole act that he has. I don't know if he's just doing this on purpose to get more Instagram followers or to get more famous, or because he really does want to pitch Love is Blurry to Netflix and start his own whatever. But yeah, I feel like this is just a whole act, and I think he does want to take on the role or the identity of being the villain of the show, and I think that's what he's trying to do. Whether or not that was his goal or his intention this whole time of being on the show, it's hard to say. That is a messed up relationship.
So let's be better.
You don't choose. It's nature, baby. We're animals.
That is not true. Humans are much more evolved because our brains are much more evolved from animals, like a dog or a cat, and we actually have something called the prefrontal cortex, which is the front of our brain, which is in charge of more executive functioning. Also, what separates us from animals is the fact that we are able to reflect and think back about the past and also have forethought, meaning that we can try to plan for the future. We also have something called self-awareness. So humans have the capability, based on the evolution of our brains, that we can actually have insight and forethought, and this is what really separates us from animals. Again, maybe he has very warped views around how he sees human beings and how he sees relationships. Maybe it's some form of distortion. Maybe he's just saying this because he wants to stand out from the rest of the crew.
I love Yvette as much as the next guy, but I don't like people who treat human beings like you do.
Yes.
It's wrong.
Yes, exactly. Nick
One
Lachey.
thing, I think you would seriously benefit from seeing a psychologist and kind of figuring out some coping skills to navigate relationships as a narcissist.
So it's not accurate to say that he is a narcissist. There's a whole list of traits that people need to have in order to be accurately diagnosed as having narcissistic personality disorder. And it's very rare to be diagnosed with this. Personality disorders are very, very complex, and it could take months, if not years, of a highly trained professional, someone who has PhD levels, so like almost decades worth of education and training, to be able to accurately diagnose someone with narcissistic personality disorder. To look at a footage and say, oh, this person is a narcissist because he's triggering everyone, or to say this person is a narcissist because he keeps wanting the airspace and talking on the show that he's a narcissist, is not the accurate use of the word. Typically, what people tend to do nowadays, again, is to misuse the term narcissist. A better replacement for it would be conceited or selfish, or, just not well liked, and people just call them narcissists. Kind of similar to the telephone game with gaslighting. In clinical terms, it is a very specific definition used for a personality disorder, and over time, and with the internet and other people just chiming in and distorting what the actual definition is, narcissism is on a spectrum. It's possible that he has very high traits, or he's higher on the spectrum of narcissism. But again, everyone has some form of narcissistic traits. Yep.
Out of all people in this entire world, she doesn't deserve that. I mean, look at her.
Mm-hmm.
No,
She looks
agree.
like a goddamn queen right now.
Agreed.
A goddess.
Deepti
And
is
she better
amazing.
on the inside than she even looks on the outside.
Goddess villain.
No,
We
it's
understand.
It's not
how
even
that's
like
working.
that. This is her as a person.
She is, yeah. And this is me as a person for you guys, for your entertainment.
The fact that he's saying that he's the villain and he's doing it for people's entertainment, again, I feel like this whole thing is just an act, and he's purposefully just trying to get everyone riled up, and it's working. And I think he just is doing this because, again, he wants the followers. He wants to, I don't know, have a spinoff on Netflix. He's doing something on purpose, and he's going to do it in a very dramatic way. It doesn't matter who he hurts.
It's okay to not be physically attracted to somebody. Guess what? There's a million other people who are. It's the way you go about life. It's how you do it and how you say it that's extremely disrespectful.
Yeah,
it's degrading
exactly.
to women.
Beyond what was shown, we know about all the things that you said.
Yeah, that was a watered down version.
That was a very watered down
Oh,
version
wow.
of the things you said behind your back. I don't understand how you don't feel remorse.
You have no problem acting the way you act and thinking there's nothing wrong with it. And that's fine. That's a completely conscious decision on your part, I guess, but there's nothing wrong with saying it didn't work out.
They all make really good points. There's nothing wrong with saying that he's not physically attracted to her, or if he has a certain preference, and it's okay to say that it didn't work out. I'm shocked to hear that there's more to, well, not really shocked because, they can only edit so much. Maybe some of the things that he was saying about Deepti and maybe the other girls were just extremely inappropriate, and they couldn't actually put that on the show. And so to hear that this is, or what we saw was a watered down version, is extremely concerning. It could also be just a very misogynistic way of looking at females or relationships. They have to look a certain way, and in order for him to be attracted to them or even consider having an emotional bond with them. So it could be a lot of different things. And it's really disappointing to hear that he was saying all these additional things about her behind her back to, I guess, the other cast members. And also, I guess it got cut out. And maybe that's why he said he was worried that it was going to be edited, or how it's going to be edited. Like, is he worried that it was going to show all these horrible, degrading, terrible things that he said about Deepti and the other girls? Human beings can be very complex. So maybe a part of him is very introspective and reflective, and another part of him is just extremely, extremely shallow and just very degrading. And it's possible, I suppose, but it's just definitely gone from like one extreme to the other. So it's It's hard to say, and I'm not here to diagnose him. I'm not here to diagnose any of the characters, but it's really disappointing to hear that he's been saying even more horrible things about Deepti.
They've all warned me that this is not a person you should marry because he's talking about you this way behind your back.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know the extent of how he was talking to me or about me. If you care about somebody and you're supposedly their friend, you do not disrespect them on national fucking TV.
I could have handled that differently. I agree.
You just don't know how to speak, especially to women.
Wow, good for Shane and Jarrett and everyone else to warn Deepti about what he was saying. Like, I'm really glad that they were very honest with her, because that's so terrible. Like, I can't even imagine going on a show and then having someone you have feelings for and someone that you have a strong emotional bond with, someone that you're starting to trust, and all of a sudden hear all these other people tell you not to marry him because he's saying all these horrible, horrible things behind your back. Did he apologize? I feel like he hasn't even apologized. He just said, oh, I agree with you. He doesn't take any ownership, any responsibility of the horrible things he's saying. He just agrees that, yep, that was a horrible thing to say. And I guess it's not a big deal. Does he not realize that it's really hurtful? Kind of a red flag, the fact that he just has no feelings of remorse. He's just, again, like he said, he's doubling down to, pod shake, and he's just rooting himself in and saying like, yeah, well, I'm right, and I'm just telling it how it is, and this is the truth. Like, no, it's really terrible. He probably could benefit from some form of therapy if he's open to that, but I don't know if he would even take that seriously, so it probably wouldn't really help. In order for therapy or counseling to work, you go in wanting to do the work and knowing that there's something that you need to change. And I don't think that even if Shake were to go to therapy or see a psychologist, anything would change, because it seems like he doesn't think that he needs to change or that there's anything wrong with the way he views women or views relationships or views, the way that he's talking about people as problematic or hurtful. I have very little hope for him to be able to actually make those changes. I mean, is that possible? Absolutely. I can't predict the future. He definitely could have that potential because we have seen some level of introspection and reflection from him, but it really comes down to the person as to whether or not they're willing to put in that time and work to make those changes.
Guys, anything y'all want to say?
Yeah, you're right. This was the wrong show for me. I'll just come out and say it.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
my own warped views, and I got to work on those. That's all.
I mean, at least he's able to admit that. Whether or not he's actually going to work on those warped views is a whole other story. I feel like if he really wants to, he can. I don't know if we'll see him in future episodes of, Love is Blind After the Altar, right? Does that usually come out like a year later? There's some hope for him, and the fact that he just had to, again, just have his last say in there. I don't know if now he's trying to kind of backpedal, because now he's like, oh yeah, I need to work on this. Maybe he had some time to reflect while he was on the couch of his behaviors, because he stopped talking after that big blow up. Thank goodness. That was quite an eventful reunion episode. Okay, and that is it. That officially wraps up Love is Blind Season 2, and thank you so much for being patient and watching this along with me. I hope that you've learned a lot. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more analysis videos like this. I'll probably be doing Love is Blind Japan and Brazil in the near future. Might need a little bit of a break from watching Love is Blind altogether, but I will definitely be looking into those shows. Feel free to check out my other therapist reviews videos, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, be kind and love yourself.